Welcome to the, what is the date today?
22nd.
The August 22nd meeting of the Commissioners for the Suburban Improvement District. The first item on the agenda is a moment of silence. Does anyone have a moment of silence? We do not. Does anyone out there wish to do a moment of silence for anything specific or? No? We'll bypass that, thank you. We do not have Grant Cox here as well. We do not hear our attorney on the phone, is that correct? Yeah. Okay. So we will move to approve the the July 18th minutes of that meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to accept them.
For you to both meetings. For the regular.
I have a motion to accept this meeting. I need a second.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So that's for the regular meeting and the
Yes.
special call.
Each one of them, yeah, separate. There you go.
Thank you. I will.
And pass it.
I sure will.
We also need to approve the minutes for the special meeting that we had on August 1st.
Make a motion, we accept those minutes as written for the special meeting.
Thank you.
I second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
When was the special meeting, when
All
was the
good?
regular meeting? Just date it,
What's the date?
8/22,
What's the year?
22, 8/22.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
First item on old business, new dock request. And I watched the YouTube video, or the YouTube meeting from last meeting, and it sounds like, I think that, Mr. Nemo, were you going to go visit that Mr. Phillips? Isn't it?
Right.
Harris, Mr. Harris. Were you going to visit? Did you get a chance to?
I didn't have a chance, but I did go look at the area.
Okay.
And it's like when we discussed during that meeting, because I had looked at that house about it, it was shallow water, so what can you do?
Yeah,
You know you got shallow water, so.
yeah. Okay, I didn't get a chance either. Did anybody else?
I did.
Did you
And
speak
I
to
mean,
the homeowner?
I did not, only here for a few minutes.
Okay.
But I talked to a neighbor that was home, and I didn't bring that piece of paper, what that person's name was. But the water there is always shallow, and they've known that forever, and they are not for him extending his dock and doing all that.
Okay.
The neighbor that I talked to doesn't want they've had shallow water too, the same kind of water.
Right.
And they don't want that man's property to be extended or any of the rules to be changed for one homeowner because it's going to create more chaos.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that maybe visiting the location might bring something visually where they could turn it a different way or something. But
Yeah, no.
it sounds to me that we need to
It's
stick.
this deep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. What's happening in our village or on our lakes is that boats that cannot, or properties that have not been sold in years and years, are now being sold. Corners, coves, and the water has been shallow there for years and years, and there's nothing that we can do. We've talked about dredging, which is not really an option. It's in our current rules that we can go out as far as we can from the shore with a piece of equipment to get silt out of the way. But if that's only going to get him 10 inches versus 4 inches, then he's going to have to go with an above ground boat lift is my suggestion. Is he here?
No.
He's not here? Okay. Do we need to, do we need to put a motion on the floor is there something we need to do to put this to bed for Mr. Harris? Betsy, is he looking for is he looking for a meeting with one of us?
I think he came to the last meeting and put in his request, and he's just waiting on a reply.
Okay. Yeah, I would entertain a motion to deny his request to move his dock beyond what our current rules are. I would entertain that motion, and
I would make that motion.
do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Betsy, can you inform him? If he wants, I will be glad to take a meeting with him to discuss it, but anything further than what we've already adopted is ruled out. Sales strategy for state and SID lands. So I heard a little bit about what we talked about last, or what you guys talked about when I wasn't here. What is it that currently you need from us?
What I'm asking the commission to put is a policy in writing that tells us how we need to handle the sales calls that come to us regarding SID-owned property. We are already diverting our sales calls for state to COSL.org or to Land Commission. And we need to determine how a person who purchases their property through the Land Commission gets a clear deed from us. What fee we're going to charge to quit claim that deeds are limited to us taking our lien off of it or having anything to it. Those seem to be the two biggest questions that come to us. We have people reaching out to us wanting to purchase various parts of land, large plots, small plots, several parcels, and we need to know how to handle that so that we are consistently getting the same response and not winging it, because that's what's been going on since our sales contract ended with ALC. It's been a lot of pressure on the office. We've had social media attacking us for getting wrong information. We're not purposely getting wrong information. We don't have any clear policy as to how we're supposed to move forward. That's what I'm asking the commission to do.
Okay. So the two things that I heard in there are A, for SID-owned properties, right? So for non-SID-owned properties, they're at the Commissioner of State Lands.
Correct.
They're only in two different places, either here or there.
Correct.
There are very few here. Do we have a number? My last understanding is maybe 800 out of the 14,000 that are unowned. We may have 800. Yeah, it's very little. No, it's not. SID does not own thousands of properties. They do not. So they're at the Commissioner of State Lands, unfortunately. And the way that has worked, and I think it's important that you guys do understand it. I'm going to try to just take a minute and a half to try to explain it. Nothing ever takes a minute and a half, I get that, but I think you need to understand it. Let's just say that Norm goes and buys a piece of land right now at the Commissioner of State Lands, okay? He buys it and he pays the back taxes and he gets his limited warranty deed, and he did that back in 2015. Let's say he decides 2 years ago that he doesn't want it anymore, and he can't find a buyer, because that's what's happened to all of our land. They don't want to buy it, they don't want it anymore, they don't have a buyer for it. So they let it go. And they let go of two things. So there's two things they have to pay to keep that land, and that's the SID fee and the county taxes. Now, most of the time, those lands out in the middle of nowhere are $20 a year for county taxes. And as we know, the SID fee currently is $90, but it used to be $140 if a house wasn't on it. So let's say Norman decides that he's just going to let it go. And he lets it go, and he doesn't do anything. Well, the following year, it comes up to SID first. So there are two interested parties, right? There's SID, who's not getting their money, and there's the county property taxes that's not getting their money. But the first thing we did, and this is previously, when we had ALC as our broker, we would foreclose on your piece of land. And we'd foreclose every 2 years, and we would do all the properties like Norm that didn't pay their SID fees. And it would foreclose, meaning when you foreclose on something, you bring it back into your inventory. That's what you're basically doing. When you foreclose on something, now that belongs to me as SID. What happened then is that SID is not going to pay taxes on all of the lands that they just have sitting around, that they have in inventory, because nobody's buying them. So it doesn't make sense for SID to pay a property tax on all their lands. So guess what happens? SID lets it go. So now, you've let your land go, SID took it back in, and then we let it go. And the Commissioner of State Lands takes it away from us. And now it's sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands website. And that's basically what has happened over the years. Now, there's a lot of intricate details about why we foreclosed and how that gives us, power or control over that piece of land, because as you well know, when you give up something to a Commissioner of State Lands, you might know this or not, when somebody goes to buy it, the last owner that owned it before has 10 days to redeem it. So what was happening before is we were letting all these lands go to the Commissioner of State Lands for years and years and years. This happened forever. And then when somebody else came along, let's say Tracy Lee comes along and she wants to buy your property, and she sees it on the Commissioner of State Lands website. Because we were the previous owner, because we foreclosed on it, remember? Tracy is told by the Commissioner of State Lands, hey, we're going to have to see if the previous owner wants it. And so they would go back to you and say, do you want it? And give you 10 days. And she said no, then she could buy it. So a lot of times, SID was the previous owner. And because SID was the previous owner, and ALC was our contracting agent, our agent would say, no, we're going to buy it. And then our agent would contact Tracy and say, we're going to sell it to you, you have to buy it from us if you want that piece of property. Now, I know sometimes that can be confusing. But this cycle has been going on. Forget about Tracy's, remember Norman's story about, and that's been happening for years. So, you're asking two things. You're asking, number one, do we own any, what do we do for lands that we own? Well, we don't own it. We foreclosed on about 800 pieces of property about 2 months before ALC stopped there. That was it. That last group is, we're not going to pay property taxes on it unless you guys want to. But personally, I think that's a waste of money. Because there's already 13,000 pieces of property sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands. Remember, there's 14,000 total that are unowned. 24,000 within SID, 10,000 owned, approximately. 13,000 are sitting at the Commissioner's office. So this 800 that Sid owns, guess what? We're not going to pay taxes on those either. I suggest we don't, because if we do, it's $20 per piece. And then it would stay in our inventory, and we'd have to pay that every year as a property tax. So my suggestion is we let that go. It also goes to the Commissioner of State Lands. And then people get to buy the land straight from the Commissioner. And we are not in the land business. We don't have to have a real estate license. We don't have to have a broker backing us. None of that. So, does that make any sense? Is that cleared up at all?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What if of these 800 lots that we've got, let's just say, let's just pick Susan and David J. The lot next to us is empty and we want it. And if it's Sid owned right now, and I call the Sid office and give them the plat number and the lot number, what is the Sid office going to tell me they'll take for that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
And I think that's the question that we
So here's my answer.
One of the calls.
Right. And we're taking that on first. We'll take that on first. It is my, and I've had many conversations with my wife about this. It is my thought that there are so few, and they will only, the Sid-owned properties currently will not be Sid-owned in a year.
a year or 2 years?
Well, it depends on when the county takes them away from us.
I mean, do we know?
I think it's gonna be a year. So in the 12 to 18 months, let's just say,
Okay.
we may own them, right? And that's it. And then they're gone. Until the next group comes in for us to foreclose on. And I don't mean to go into another subject here, but my suggestion would be to not foreclose on them. Let the county do that for us. Because we found out that the county can just take them immediately. We don't have to foreclose. So anyway, going back to your question, there are only 800. My suggestion is that the ones that come in, and I haven't seen any yet from you. You've emailed me, not on property that's been owned by us. I haven't seen those.
Yes, there's one of our first ones, everyone was received the email, the gentleman that offered us $800.
Yes, no, those are at the Commissioner of State Lands, and I told him to go there, instead of, he offered us, what, $800 or something for them? And we looked them up, and they were at the Commissioner of State
We have
Lands.
another one, and we have others.
Okay, well, I haven't seen them.
Every day, I get a call, I get many calls, but every day I come across at least one or two properties that are listed through Arkansas County data as SID owned, that people are wanting to purchase adjacent to your houses, behind your house.
Okay, let me explain something. Hold on. I understand. If they're listed on AR County data, and they're at the Commissioner of State Lands,
No, they're with us, is what it says, that we own them.
and they're not at,
Closed, they were redeemed, we own them.
Okay,
And I think there's a lot out there that ALC redeemed that they didn't sell.
okay, you have not brought any of those to me, so personally. Well, yeah, so I don't, that, to me, there are only 800 of them out of the 14,000 lots that are available. If somebody just wants to buy a random lot, I've been directing them, go to the Commissioner of State Lands, you can get them from them super cheap.
And what we've been saying in the last meeting, in the special meeting, is that this is something that's happening, and I'm sorry if I didn't specifically have that conversation.
Yeah, I just didn't know it was an issue.
It's been an issue.
No, and not, listen to
You
just,
just say it's not an issue, I'm telling you, it's an issue.
I understand, but just listen to what I'm saying. I'm talking about just SID-owned properties. There are so few of them. The ones at the Commissioner of State Lands don't count in this. You're asking about just the SID-owned properties. And my thought was there are so few of them that it didn't make sense to put some kind of policy together. You want to be doing a quick claim deed? I don't know that a title company can do that. Maybe a title company, they can go to the title company and have them do that and not pay us. So I'm trying to make it as cheap as possible for a new homeowner, a new property owner to buy our land and not pay extra money from us. So what you're asking is, if a SID-owned property, you want to charge, what I heard on the YouTube video last
Can I give
night.
you some examples,
Yeah.
and you listen, and hear what our examples are?
You be careful, but yes.
Okay, so we get numerous calls. We have delinquency letters that we send out for people who become delinquent on their own land, and then they redeem it. So that we send them a letter and say, here's the 2 or 3 years that you owe us for the assessed fees, so that you become current. So that's one letter. That was an example I kind of had with our text the other night about the person that was complaining. I saw that as someone who was redeeming their own lot. So we are going to collect those back SID
Correct.
fees. Then we have the ones that are at the state, and then we are going to get everyone to the cosl.org, to our website, we're giving them the paperwork, and then they understand that those are limited deeds.
Right.
In our last meeting, we had some conversation about we couldn't waive delinquent assessments. So what I put together, and the example that we gave at the last meeting was what it would cost if you wanted to clear that deed. If you wanted more than a limited deed, if you wanted to build that in the future, if you wanted to be able to insure that parcel, you had to have a quick claim deed from us. And I went to Ozark Title, I believe it's called, and actually I got the fees. That's where we came up with the example of $500, meaning what we would collect, which would basically be 2 years, average of $153 in assessments, plus the fees that we would be charged from the title company, recording fees, all of that. It came out to $384, which would mean we would make $116, 20 20% goes to us and the rest goes into the refund cost. That was the example that we gave. And then the last example that we gave was coming up with an amount to tell people when they do call and say, I have a lot next door to my house, we only have to pay our county gas assessments and our inventory. We haven't been telling people, oh, wait a year or two and it'll be in the state's hands and we'll lose our money. We're suggesting that we come up with an amount to say, if your lot is between $1 and $2,500, this is what it sells for. And 2501 to whatever, this is what it sells for. Because we can't negotiate, but there has to be some value in our land. Because in my opinion, that's the second half of the hand. We start giving away, and what we already own doesn't have the same value anymore. It's not just about, in my opinion, it's not just about getting them on the books next year. It's about collecting some of the money that can help us that we don't need to give away. So that was what I came up with the last meeting. That was just a suggestion. But I'm looking for policy. I'm tired of my staff and myself being ripped apart by people who want to pick every letter of every word that we say. We are learning this just like y'all are. And we just have to sit behind the desk when people call. So what I'm asking is for the commissioner to make a policy that we can all stick to and move forward. This is not right in June. This is August.
I get it.
Do you have a copy of that page you had that on that we showed him? Because she had, yes ma'am.
I understand. Okay, so there are two things that you brought up. Let me just address them. The first one that you brought up was,
Well, he's got one.
yeah, I got it. So the first thing you brought up was making sure that you got questions because people want full titles.
Some people do.
Right, so they get their deed, they get their limited warranty deed from, they get their limited warranty deed from the state land commissioner, and they want to get a full title. And you want to charge them a fee to go through the process of clearing that title, doing the quick claim and all that kind of thing. You want to charge them a fee for that. So again,
Charge the fee that we're going to charge.
right, and my question,
In the next 2 years, what I would assume when you get average cost assessment, since we foreclose every 2 years, then that was where the 153 a year, $306.
okay, now you're in a different area of collecting back SID fees. We'll talk about that in a minute.
That's how they would get the quick claim. That was my example.
Well, we don't have to charge that back SID fee is my point. What I'm trying to say is you want to get them to where they can get a full deed. And my question,
Who likes the money?
I understand that, we're not in the profit business. I'm not here to make a profit, we're here to break even at the end of the year. So my question is this, you asked about two different things. The first thing was the quick claim deed and getting somebody their full title. My question was, and I don't know the answer to this, is can they on their own go to a title company, have them do a title search, and keep us out of it?
Not if we don't sign off on it.
I don't know that part, and if, I don't, because if I'm in Ohio, and I bid on a piece of land at the Commissioner of State Lands, and I buy it, and I go to a title company that's near me in Ohio, they're gonna clear that, because SID doesn't have a lien on that property. There's no liens from anyone.
In some cases, SID does have a lien on some of the properties. And
I haven't seen it.
People would be able to give you a very detailed list of
Right.
where those liens were, but there were liens placed
Okay, well,
on some properties.
if there are liens, and we haven't seen any that we've looked for, but even then, the Commissioner of State Lands, by the time he's selling them, he wipes those liens out. He has the ability to take mortgage liens out. He has the ability to take every lien out. He's just trying to sell his land. So the Commissioner of State Lands does that. It's the Arkansas law. We read it. So that is what it is. So to get that clear title, I want to know if it can be done. I'm trying to help keep work away from the SID employees. I don't want them selling land or negotiating prices or anything like that, or even doing quick claim deeds. I don't know if a title company can do all of that for us, and we can just send them to whatever title company they want, to get the title cleared, send that into the county, and it gets back on our rolls. So that's the first.
Were any of the other commissioners able to clarify? I mean, that's kind of what our special meeting was about, was in the next 2 weeks to come back today and to make a determination how we want to move forward.
Right, and again, I mean, I'm just trying to lay it out there so they understand it. And I just, so.
I think that you need to call the title company and see if you don't know that answer, then we need to find the answer.
Thank you, Bessie.
Yeah.
So then, let's go to number 2. The second question you had was, if you want to purchase it directly from Sid because Sid owns it. And that's what you have here, right? The pricing that you want to charge? Okay.
There's kind of 2 options there. We could figure it out by a percentage of the appraised value, which I put on there, the example was the 36%, how we figure our assessments. Or we could do it in a bracket where we could post it, where people would be able to pull it up and say, oh, this is where I fall in, this is what my lot will cost. So we could not negotiate anything. That would be the price. That was my suggestion.
Okay.
One of those 2.
Okay, and here is my issue with this. So these are Sid, you're just doing this just for Sid-owned properties?
Correct.
Yeah.
Which again, let's reflect back, there's only about 800 of them. And in a year or 18 months, there will be none, right? They'll all be gone. We won't have them. So what you're asking is to charge somebody, let's say Norman comes along and he wants to buy a piece of land that we just happen to own right now. And it's $2,500 land value, so it's out in the middle of nowhere. And you want to charge him $800. My issue with that is that the only reason that this belongs to us currently, that this particular piece of land belongs to us currently, is because it's in this cycle, and it just happens to be in the position of this cycle. So I have 13,000 other lots sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands that they can buy for $160. And just because it's owned by us for now, we want to charge $800? I have an issue with that. I don't want to charge back SID fees, and I don't want to charge,
No, we don't either.
personally, I don't want to charge, if we want to charge back taxes, that's fine, because we have to, but I do not want to charge back SID fees for the previous assessment. Now, let me clear up. I'm okay with having conversations, collecting back SID fees, moving forward against this new assessment that we were awarded. This new assessment just came out this year. So, because I seriously have an issue with investors coming and going to the Commissioner of State Lands or whatever and buying hundreds and thousands of properties and not paying back SID fees. I do have an issue with that. So I'd like to come up with some solution to that. But for your example, I understand what you did and I think it's great work. The issue for me is I don't want to charge Norman $800 when the same piece of property next door to it might be at the Commissioner of State Lands for $168. The guy online is, that's what he paid for this.
I want you to understand that I'm not debating this, the commission will make this decision. I'm just asking that you make a decision and put it in writing as a policy so that the people who answer the phone and sit at the front desk every day that are getting eaten alive have some relief.
Okay.
To be able to say, this was the decision that was made. So that's all I'm asking.
Let's
If
just-
it's not made tonight, however y'all decide you want to do it.
Let's just-
We're just asking.
All I'm saying to you, Bessie, is that Tracy and I have taken this on as a personal thing to help, right? We've done all the research and we've taken it as to the edge of the earth and back to try to figure out what's going on here. And you have sent me an email for one property. If you're getting tons of calls, I would have thought that you would have sent those to me. Now, I'm not going to have that argument here, but I'm just saying I wish you would have forwarded them to me so that we could maybe change our direction a little bit. Because I didn't know you guys were being hounded by calls from people that wanted the land next to them that actually is owned by Sid. I didn't know that. So my suggestion is, for property that is owned by Sid currently, that obviously won't be owned by Sid in a year. If somebody walks in the building that wants to buy that piece of land, I would suggest you give them to the commissioners. Give them to me. And we'll research that piece of property and find out why it's sitting with us and where it's been. My suggestion would be to just pay the property taxes and move on. Give them the title, let them run with it, and put them back on the rolls, paying an SID fee moving forward. That would be my suggestion on how we handle SID owned property currently.
So,
What about the title fees?
could I finish my sentence? So if we go with that idea, and they owe several years of back county taxes, that's what you're going to charge them to buy this property, plus the $500 fee that, and I'm just saying 500 because it's got all the closing and clear up the title, all of that stuff you get from the title company. So back taxes for however many years and this fee that we've got come up with, period, that's the cost of that piece of property, and then the day they take possession is when they start paying the assessment, the SID assessment. Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's stick with the SID-owned properties.
SID, that's all I'm talking
Okay,
about.
well, you mentioned several years of back. We won't have a SID-owned property with several years of back property taxes because it will have been taken away from us by then.
Okay,
So there's only the ones that we own will probably have about $20 worth of property taxes owed because they are that early, right? We just foreclosed on them. So they'll have about 20 bucks. So my suggestion is to collect 20 bucks. I mean, if there's a way for them to go to the, if they can collect 20 bucks, and if we can collect $20 and they can pay that to the county, and then go to the title company and get it cleared if they want a clear title, but some people don't care about a clear title, then they can do that. And we can just send them to the title company and we're not involved at all. So that's how we would do that. Whatever's owed property tax wise.
I would like to put some cushion in there for,
Okay?
well, you know what I mean. But could you round that number up so that when Susie sits behind a desk at SID and answers the phone and it's somebody who's got, that person who answers the phone be able to tell that that's a SID-owned property? The answer to that question is yes, I
Yep,
think.
they will.
And know exactly what the taxes are at that moment, and tell the person on the phone, here's how much it's going to cost you, do you want it, take it or leave it? That's what I think Betsy needs, is something so that when people in the
Yeah.
office answer the phone.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to give it away and make it look like it's not of value, or are we going to?
Well, here's my problem with value. There are 14,000 unowned properties sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands. They're not worth anything. Nobody's buying them.
Okay.
That's what we need to try to, in my opinion, as we work through all of the different things we want to build and fix and create, we want to get back to where people are exchanging these lands among themselves, right?
See,
Like houses. Like people wouldn't just let their house go.
Since the special meeting, I've talked with 2 realtors. I've called several, and several haven't called me back, but I've talked with 2 realtors. Been sat for hours with one of them, and phone on the other one. And I suggested that we just give them one. Like you're saying, well, you know, give them one. And the objection from the realtor who's been doing this for 40-odd years was, well, you need to make them feel like they're getting something for their money, so they have to pay something. And that pay something is where we are tangled up right now. You say back taxes plus the fee to clean it all up.
If they want it.
If they want it.
Because they already have a limited warranty fee, so if they bought it from the Commissioner of State Lands.
Yeah.
If they bought it from us, now that's a different process, but do we charge the fees and make money on what the title company is doing? That's the suggestion here.
Well, and it's not much money. I mean, it's barely going to cover the cost of the electric bill.
Okay, but if we can send people to the title company, it's the same thing. I don't know if we
I
can or
don't know
not.
if we can or not. I didn't ask that question at the second reading.
What about the portion that we haven't talked about, what Tommy Land can do with the land? You know, that's
What's that?
something that we had read about. They can turn it into public housing, they can, you know, do different things with the land. Once it goes to Tommy Land, then we have no control over any of those lots that are left. Those could be lots right next door to y'all, or right next door to me, or, you know.
Yeah, well, we're not going to do, you know,
They have that option, they have options. Once we say we no longer will have anything to do with those lots, and they go back to the state, then the state decides. So we kind of are giving up our assets.
so let me ask you a question. Well, let me ask you guys this question. Do you want land in our inventory?
No, not really. We do not be in the land
Real
selling.
estate business.
No.
So, and we pay property taxes on that land.
But my
Where's your
question,
answer?
this is just, this is just my ignorance. So the land that's at the land commissioner, we don't have anything to do with it. Now, let's say a guy comes in and buys 1,000 lots from the land commissioner. Could he go in there and build multi-family apartments in there? And then he is not part of Cherokee Village from
They
this
can't,
point
No.
forward,
they
is that
can't
right?
do that, they have to go by city.
They have to,
Yeah.
So
they
They're
have
still
to
bound by
I
city
think it's a
ordinance.
zoning thing, yes, but I
So
think
would
we're
they
still bound
still
by
have
that,
to pay
yes.
SID fees in the future?
Yeah.
Not if they turn it into a government housing community.
Well, I can't see somebody wanting Cherokee Village for government housing.
but it could happen.
There's no place to work around here.
But
They
it could
wouldn't.
happen, but it could.
Okay. I mean, it is the rule. The Arkansas rule says that the land commissioner, if he has enough pieces of property and he hasn't been able to sell them, but understand, we've had this many pieces of he's got millions of pieces of property out there from the entire state. They've been up there for the last 30 years. They've been going in a vicious cycle here at the SID office for 30 years.
So will our lots that we own right now evaporate in 12 months?
Up to 18 or 20 months.
Yeah.
They have to, it takes 2 years for them to go.
So they'll eventually cycle back to the land.
And
That's
what-
right.
correct, and what we don't want to do is send out foreclosure letters, we just want to let them go, you know, we don't need to mess with that anymore, if we just want them to go, because we are not, like Joe says, we are not in the land.
Now remember, when we do foreclose, every time we foreclose, every 2 years, it costs us $10,000 to $15,000 to foreclose. That's the cost, because we have to, 5,000 of that is just putting them in the paper.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs a lot of money to foreclose, so my suggestion is for this 800 that moves through, or the next group, there's probably thousands right now that people haven't paid, and they're just haven't come up yet for us to foreclose. I suggest we don't even foreclose. Now,
And see, and
Betsy
that's-
makes a great point. There is a valid point in saying we don't have control anymore. If we decide that we want to build something cool, now, I don't know if that's going to happen because we have so many things to fix now. But if we decide to build
A zip line!
a water park or some kind of, maybe we build if Betsy does what she's doing at the campground, and we want to expand that campground into more land that we have and put another bigger campground, I can definitely see that happening. That land would not belong to us. It'd be sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands, and we would have to bid on it like anybody else and try to go get it. That would be our obstacle. But in the meantime, if we owned this land, like I said, we'd be paying property taxes on it.
I was also told that we could go back to the land commission and have our assessments certified, just like the taxes are.
I would love that.
So that when a property is foreclosed and it is purchased, they would have to satisfy our past due assessments
I
the
would-
same way.
I would love that. If we can do that and get our SID fees moving forward, the reason I don't want to collect, and again, I'm only one person, you guys can outvote me and put a motion on the floor. But the reason that I have a problem with collecting back SID fees is because, a couple reasons. Number one, a lot of these things have been sitting at the Commissioner of State Lands for years, as you suggested. And they've been back, like the person that wrote the email to you that was charged almost $1,000 for an SID fee. Because, if he knew that in the front end, he wouldn't have bought that piece of land.
But that was
So I don't-
correct information. That was back taxes before he even owned it.
But he got a letter from SID wanting back SID fees. So my problem is, would he have known that before, he would not have bought that land. So that's number one. Number two, the assessment from a year ago was deemed wrong. I mean, the lawsuit came about, whether you believe it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it was deemed wrong. We settled that it was wrong. So, well, how can we collect on a back assessment that was not supposed to be collected on anyway? And then if we did collect it, what would we charge? Do we charge 140 or do we charge 90? I mean, I don't know. The 140 is what everybody else was paying. If we charge 90 now, I'd be mad if I was a property owner that was paying 140. So anyway, the mess that was before is now gone. I'd like to put that behind us. If we can figure out a way to collect SID fees moving forward, including this year, I'd be on board with that 100%. But the back SID fees, I don't think make sense to me. So, anyway,
So I don't want to make a motion because you'll just talk me out of it.
No. You can do anything you want.
I can, in my pea brain, it seems sensible.
And you still need some research.
Y'all can sweep me under the rug, but if it's at the land commissioner, I don't want anything to mess with it. That's the
Yeah,
land commissioner problem.
and we, at this moment.
We can't
do
go
not-
back and say, guess what, dude, you owe us
No.
$1,800 for back SID fees,
No.
even though it's sitting in the land, I mean, once it hits the land commissioner, it's out of our hands.
Yeah.
That's the way I look
But-
at it.
and if.
But now, moving forward, they gotta pay fees or what, like everybody else has got.
Correct. The day they sign it.
The
takes
day they
effect.
sign it.
The day they sign it, it becomes their responsibility for taxes and SID assessments.
So if it is at the land commissioner, we're not responsible for any of the deed work, or
No, no.
any of that kind of stuff.
Not a bit of it.
We just sit and wait. And
Well,
people
I
just,
think we're not sure about that, if we have to do something to get that quick claim.
oh, now
Or
that's,
they can do it.
I would love to visit with some,
That was one of the questions we were going to ask Grant tonight.
oh, well, I mean, again, the question really needs to go to a title company. If we can send somebody that comes in from the Commissioner of State Lands and says, here's my deed, and that's what your question is, here's my deed, I just got it off the website, I paid $168, I did and I want it, now I want to clear the deed. This is a limited warranty deed that the land commissioner gave me, now I want to clear it. And can we, and how much will it cost them, I guess we can just tell them, can we send them to the title company and say, hey, listen, this has nothing to do with us. I mean, you take it to the title company, get it cleared, they'll charge you a fee for clearing it and to get it over to the county to be put up back on their rolls, and we all of a sudden start collecting an SID fee. If the title company does that, I'm good with not charging a fee to do it. And again, that's more work for our people. So that's the reason that I say that. And it charges them less.
So that seems pretty simple, but what about the 800 that we own?
Wait, okay.
Yeah.
Before you do that, so you've got this paper that says you own it. Do one of us need to go to Ozark, because that's who we've been talking to ask them that very question? I mean, we do it the phone call, I'm pretty sure, and take that off of Betsy and the employees' plates.
Or we can just have them show up here at the meeting or something.
It would be worth a phone call.
It'd be easy.
Just to ask.
Yeah.
That wasn't one of the steps when I made the phone call, that wasn't a step.
Yeah.
That wasn't they
What they
didn't,
said was that we would have to do a quick claim, it was $78, so many pages recording fee, that was all those numbers that I came
Okay.
up with.
Now, if we are-
Just, in my opinion, I paid that $153, so why shouldn't somebody else come in? You know, if I wanted a refund for the overpayment that I made, then I applied for a refund.
That's right.
And that would make it right, but now we're saying, let a new person come in, let's wipe away the fees that the rest of us in this room have paid, let's put no value to the land whatsoever, let them have it for a couple $100. But yet, I'm going to be paying an assessment of $900 on my $2,500 piece of land. That's where I stand with it.
Thank
I
you.
think that we're taking away the value of what our property is worth.
it's a back fee. So if we have a motion, Bessie, if we have a motion on the floor, this is a meeting, this is commissioner's meeting. I understand what you're saying, and I'm with you. Joe has just made his point that he doesn't believe it, and I believe you nodded your head. So we're past that.
I ain't made a motion though.
That's right.
I'm just talking.
And that was part of my argument, is that it's got to have some value or it's going to make the rest of us mad. And then you're going to have more lawsuits about how come. And then we're going to be back in the same position again. So we have to have, and yes, I want to get rid of the lots. I do. But we need to make it so it's a value for somebody, and there's going to be cash, because we'll be in the land business, but it's such a, I mean, somebody said to me, let's just give them away. Well,
How's Peter?
He's no one. We just give them away. Well,
Listen, I gave you my 2 cents. I'm good with you guys. We have 2 things that we need to talk about. Number 1, the SID-owned properties. Do we charge back SID fees, and do we go with a percentage to get more money from them? And that's for properties that are currently owned by SID. And then the other thing is, how do we handle the COSL people that come in that want their deeds full? And that, unfortunately, I think requires a little more research, because we have to talk to a title company.
And
And I'm
I
glad
will
to.
take that on as a project before the end of the week. We can get some answers on that.
Okay.
But the one for the SID-owned properties
Yes.
is where, and maybe I'm just too simple-minded to think this through, but we ought to have a chart that if somebody calls in with a plat number, we know what the value is, and we tell them that property is going to be this much money, period, and your assessment going from the day you sign it is going to be this much money, period. So, you know, if the value of the property is if the county value of the property is $2,500, are we going to ask them for $2,500 plus the back taxes? That's what I want to know, is that she's got a little chart on here.
I see it.
Which seems very, very fair to me, plus the back taxes. Well, you can't expect the person who's buying the property to not expect to pay those back taxes. You can't, I mean, that's just
No,
an unreasonable
the
expectation.
back taxes are one thing, back SID fees are
The
another.
SID fees, just we take a pencil to those and just erase the back SID.
But that's not what this $800 is for. The $800, she wants to pay the back SID fees.
Then I misread that. I've
The
been
$800
misreading.
would be the sale price for a property appraised value of $1.20.
That would pay for back
That's the
SID
sale.
fees.
I don't think it has anything to do with SID, back SID.
It does.
It does?
It does not.
Yeah, it
didn't
does.
think so.
If there's, she's going to take fees out of there. I mean, that's
No,
what
well,
it's for.
no, there's no reason to take.
Okay, listen, I've said my piece. I'm one of 4, 5. If there's a motion on the floor to accept this, rock on.
Well, I think the second option on there is very fair, and after talking to the real estate agents that I've talked to, we should be able to move properties really quickly with that chart that's in the middle of the page. And I'm sorry I didn't bring mine with me, but that doesn't include any, all that value is, that percentage on, not percentage, not the first one, but the second set, is going to be what we're asking you to pay for the lot that you're requesting. Say that. What it's in there, and the fee that's down here at the bottom that we can maybe collect, or they'll go directly to the closing company to get, that's between them. If I can go to Ozark Title tomorrow and figure that out, we can add that to it right quick.
The title search is $250.
Well, okay, but this is what the girls in the office should be able to tell people. If the lot you want is valued at $1,000 to $2,500, the cost is $800 plus whatever your closing fees are.
Okay, now let me ask you this, Bessie. When somebody comes in and says, I want to buy a piece of land, are you going to try to figure out if they want one specific, or are you just going to say, okay, I'll sell you one that I have
No, they would need to come to us specific.
for a piece of property?
Yes, in
Okay.
my mind, what we would have would be that sales contract, a general sales contract. They give us a parcel number, we look up on AR County data, see what the appraised value is, where it falls on there, and that's the number that would get plugged into that contract. In my mind, that contract would be emailed to the person who's interested in buying it, and once they sell it, it would come back to us, and a commissioner would be voted on who would be signing those contracts, or 2 or 3, however that would work. Then we would send it to, say, Ozark Title, and they would handle the closing, they would set everything up, and we would have no further contact with that.
Okay,
But
so,
we are not going to show lots, we're not going to be salespeople.
no.
They would have
So
to-
tell me what that $800 pays for.
That's
tell me
just
what the
average
$800
cost. Doesn't
Okay.
pay for anything, that's the sales price.
Of the
Okay.
property.
Okay, so again, my question is, if they come in and want to buy a piece of land, you're not going to immediately sell the ones, the 800 that we have, or would you say, hey, you could go on the Commissioner of State Lands
No.
and buy one for $168 right now today?
No, why would we tell them
Okay,
that?
I don't know the answer, I'm asking.
If somebody specifically came into our office and said they were interested in purchasing a piece of land, I would hand them that COSL.org form that's on our table and ask them, do they have a specific lot, block, whatever, that I could look up and identify if it was in our inventory. And that would be about the extent
Okay,
of my
at least you do,
sales.
again, I'm opposed, but
And then if that lot falls within our inventory, these are the set prices that we would charge for that lot.
that's what the
And then
suggestion
anything
is.
they would incur at the title company is their problem, right?
Correct.
We don't have to pay that fee.
No.
This is just a set fee. It's like
Yes.
selling a used car. Here's how
Yes.
much it is. You
Yes.
buy it or leave it.
Correct.
And in a
They
year,
can-
it isn't going to matter anyway because they're going to evaporate in a year.
Correct. Because they can, okay, so they're going to fuss with you, okay, lot A, is a sit-owned lot, and the value of it, according to our new chart, is $800.
Right.
Well, Lot B is owned at CO, okay, and they've got a value on it for $168.
Right.
Okay, well, there you go.
So there's their option, they can wait
Wait.
until it cycles back
Right,
to the land
but
commission.
somebody might get it.
And somebody might be able to buy it, or they can pay $100.
So it's like,
And in my mind, if they paid that 300 to COSL to get it, and they paid a 500 fee to us, it matched out the same cost as what we would charge to sell a lot. So it kind of.
So again, you're talking about the 500 for the title company. So you want to make money on the SID, and I see what you're saying, I'm not against it, I'm just saying, she's wanting to make money for SID on the SID-owned properties,
it's
number one,
$130.
and wants to make money on somebody that just bought it from COSL. If they can go to the title company and do it for $75, she wants to charge.
Let them, we'd be real
If they
happy.
want to, that would be their option. If they want a limited deed, then we go on the books next year and we start collecting the assessment. But if they want the land to develop it, to build on it, to insure it, what the title company said was that it had to have a quick claim. And even then, they said some title companies wait 5 to 7 years before they would ever even be able to borrow money against it. But that a limited warranty, they would never have that option.
Yeah.
That's how it was explained to me.
Yeah,
So in my
most people
head,
just
when I
don't.
came up with those numbers, I was trying to make it fair on both sides. Not that they could go to COSL and get it for nothing and cut us out, but to make it fair and equitable in all ways. That
Okay,
was my
again,
mindset.
I'll say this, I think that as far as the point, charging $500 to get a clear title, I think really relies on us going to a title company and doing that research.
Yeah, we're gonna
I'll be
take
glad
care of it.
to do
I already
that.
told you I would take care of it.
I know, I'll be glad to do that. So let's back up to the 2 items in question then. We have, number one, we have back SID fees. Do we believe we should be charging back SID fees from a previous assessment?
No.
So that is, well, that needs to be a motion on the floor moving forward. Now, that is for people that have not owned the property before, right?
Yes, so the $500 up at the top of that page would be for someone who is a brand new owner, they went directly to the state, and got a
Correct.
limited deed.
Right. No, that's not, what I'm saying is the back SID fee.
But all I'm asking for the back SID fee would be the 2 years that we would have been delinquent to foreclose.
That's what
which
she's
is what I
asking.
averaged at $153. So $306 of the $500 was for the back 2 years of assessment.
So the people that buy from the Commissioner of State Lands, what she's suggesting is, instead of, they get their deed for $168, they walk into the SID office and say, I need a clear title, she wants to charge them $500 to collect our back SID fees, and then we would go to the title company and clear it. So that's what she's asking. I just want to make sure everybody knows what that is.
Legally, can we do that?
Yes,
That's my,
Yes,
Yeah.
legally we can do that, but if they, it would be their option, whether or not they want that good claim. It's not required.
I'm talking about giving it back.
Right.
Sin fees, legally.
Well, if you look at your FYI, you're gonna read something about that. And it talks about that in two ways.
Right.
Something I learned today, reading all that.
Okay. So I think,
And the attorney also agreed that was agreeable.
okay, I think in any way, shape, or form, we need to vote on back SID fees. I think that's number one, in my opinion. And then we can take on this charge for SID-owned properties. So back SID fees, is there a motion on the floor to continue to collect back SID, or to collect them for new property owners that just bought from the Commission of State Lands?
That just bought it from the Commission of State Lands.
Right.
What is the fee? This is it, total
At
$500
average
bucks.
She's saying out of the 500, she's averaged it. She just says $150
Right.
for 2 years. She's taking it back 2 years.
Right.
I'm not,
But it won't
So
be any
she's-
more than that, right?
she's saying that's 300 of the 500.
306 of the 500, I mean, if you think that's too much, vote for less.
No, and then the rest of it would go to the title company, which,
$76.
so which charges $76. That's a clear title?
Well,
So it's not $250
It's
for the
right there,
title?
it's outlined. Set, okay?
When the 384 was my total number.
Well, why is this title search, this says
Because that's
250 for a
what
title
the
search?
bond they do.
If they wanted to do with title search, that would be, you know. That would not be part of
That's-
the.
Well, you don't you have to do a title search to clear?
Does it say $384?
Okay, so you know what she's charging for somebody that buys a piece of land at the Commissioner of State Lands, wins an auction, comes to the SID office, that's what she wants to charge.
And
So,
that's fine. And I thought we were talking about sit-on.
well, I just respectively, I asked if you wanted to charge back SID fees, and you said no. In that $500, there's 2 years of
We're
SID.
talking about sit properties.
This is what we're talking about right now.
You're talking about commission of land sales now.
Okay, so you're okay with the people, with a new property owner? Is that what, is that?
Yes, you're,
No, I'm not. I'm okay with, just make the motion and we'll go from there. And we'll,
you're gonna throw me under the bus.
no, I promise I won't. Listen, you guys are free to make any motion you
Are we
want.
wading off in some really muddy water here though legally? That's my worry. If we make a motion to slam do it, get out of here.
Well,
And what are we?
Well, here's what I thought.
We can hear Tim, yes, the microphone.
Yeah, y'all use your microphones, because our crowd is louder than y'all are.
you guys use your microphones when you're.
All right, what I heard Tim say.
Hey, can we hold the back noise down, please?
So, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, if y'all want to talk, come on.
All right.
Got it?
What I think I heard Tim saying, we have two sets of properties. And what we were talking about when we diverged here a few minutes ago is the sit-on properties. And there is a chart, and we can get a copy of that chart for y'all, that says if the land value is between $1 and $2,500, the SID will sell you that property for $800 plus you go into the title company and you pay in all those fees. And where I suggest that we don't collect back SID fees is on the SID-owned properties. That's one category. The other category is the commission land sales properties that they own that you can buy for $163. I think it's a good idea. If you can do that, then you will be charged the back SID fees because we've got to make up money that's going into this fund.
Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Okay, so you're asking, so out of that $500 for somebody who buys it from the Commission of State Lands,
I don't care what
and
they
they bring it to
do.
us, and we want to charge them $500, and out of that 500, 300 is from back SID fees.
I believe that's what it says.
Okay, I was just clarifying.
Okay, and I think that's what it says.
You earlier said, I don't want to collect back SID.
I was talking about SID-owned properties.
Okay, gotcha. So you're fine with collecting them from them, but not the sit-on property? Okay, I'm with you.
Does that make sense?
Thank you for using your mic.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
We all heard it 15 times.
What do you guys want to do? Put a motion on the floor on the chair, so I will not.
I don't know how to work the motion so that it comes out right.
What, Mr. Martin?
So yeah. David, do you want to talk?
You got areas in this community.
Please. Go ahead, Dave.
He needs his piece of paper and the microphone.
Give him the microphone.
Yeah, you're going to talk to him about getting him that.
Turn it
We'll
on.
share it. There you go.
He's reading right now, so it doesn't need my.
Stop chewing your ear. Go ahead, we'll throw you under the bus.
Just too much legal stuff here.
Well, but the lawyer has been talked with, and we have spoken with several real estate agents. And, okay, let's see if this comes out as a motion. I make a motion that we sell SID-owned properties according to the chart that you're handed, that you've got on your piece of paper.
Option 2.
Option 2, the middle option.
I second.
You second.
Okay. Motion on the floor,
Motion on the
selling just sit-owned properties with that.
Option 2.
With that
Chart.
And that motion is on the floor and has been seconded.
I second.
And we will now vote. Mr. Nebel? Aye. Mr. Page? Mr.
That would be Joe Kaiser, yes. Susan Jett, yes.
Susan Jett, you said yes?
Yes, I did.
All right, I am to the negative. I do not believe we should be doing this, but I'm not voting, so let's move forward.
that still doesn't take care of the land sales, right?
We don't have anything to do with
We
that.
don't have anything to do with the land sales. The motion for the land sales was if somebody goes to the Commission of Land Sales and buys the lot next to you for $163, can we, when they say, here's my title, here's my proof of purchase, at that moment, can we charge them back SID fees for 2 years? And I say yes.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
You good with that?
So that's the $500.
That's the $500.
That seems reasonable.
Okay, make the motion.
Well, would it read exactly like what this is here?
That's,
Whatever-
yeah.
Whatever the motion is, I don't know what the motion is.
The motion presented is that we let people who buy stuff from the Commission of Land Sales buy it for what they offered it for, and when they come to the SID office to say, here's my piece of paper, we do charge them the back SID fees for
So
2 years.
$500.
$500, the number that we've got on this piece of paper.
Okay.
I make that motion.
I make that motion.
Motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kaiser. Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
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 3 ayes and another negative, so I apologize for being the one. But hey, I am happy that the board at least understands it and voted on it.
Would somebody occasionally bring me fried catfish in jail when we all go to prison for doing this? 'Cause I do like to eat fried catfish.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I apologize to the audience members. It's something that, it's a tough deal and needs to be talked through.
Do you think
And
we can make
remember,
that happen by the time the phones start ringing in the morning?
and please remember, we don't talk to each other other than these meetings.
No.
So this is when we have to kind of sort things out.
So will this be, the way it is printed here, basically where our two motions, will this be what you use, Betsy, in your office as people call and check on lots and so forth?
Yes.
This will be the guideline.
We'll also post that same grid to show what those prices are. We'll give some information for them to learn how to go on AR County data and look at the appraised value and try to do some of that homework before they come to us. Now, the other thing, in my opinion, that this is going to lean to, the lawsuit said we have refunds to make. This would give us funds to go into that account to start making those refunds, and to me, that was an important part.
So when they buy these lots from the land commissioner and we charge them a $500 fee, we're through with it, right?
Yes, sir.
Then we can, anything they do with it from that point, it's their problem.
Their problem, and they'll go on our books and start being assessed the next year.
There you go. The end.
Yeah, well, we would be responsible for going to entitlement.
Yeah. Well, we're
Getting
gonna,
that done.
We're gonna find out about
We're gonna find out about the title company.
Okay? Everything okay?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, next item is employee policies and procedures. I reviewed the first document, and I don't think I have changes. I think you've been given changes, I think, before, and this is an updated.
There were some changes that I went in
Yeah.
today, changing the commissioner today, some of that stuff. The only thing that I added, as I had said earlier, was the inclement weather policy. That really just affects our seasonal employees that are already working minimal hours and then have a rain day. You know, I'm not gonna be able to keep them around if I can only work
Right.
10 hours a week, so. And I just kind of laid out, if they come to work, they get paid for half a day. If they leave the half a day, they would get paid for a full day. That's the only changes.
Okay.
And we can carry that forward if y'all want more time to review that for the next meeting.
All right, would entertain a motion to accept this into policy.
I make a motion to accept the employee guidelines.
I'll second that motion.
Then moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thank you for putting that together. Base Park Campground, update electrical.
Boy, am I happy about this.
I do have a problem.
Okay.
Instead of 6 by 8 treated posts, we should go with something that's gonna be there
Get him
for
a
a
mic.
while.
You
Instead
don't
of
think the 6 by 6 by 8 is a big enough post?
they will rot out eventually.
So what size post would you like to see?
Put a 6-inch round in there or something like that. square tubing, something that's gonna last a lot longer.
6-inch round, or he says square tubing.
Well, you could go square.
I think
I just
the
think
square, I think
one
the 6x6 is square.
No, I'm just saying, the treated post is not gonna last that long in the ground.
I make a motion that 6x6 is square.
We can agree on that.
6 around. I would be more than happy to go back and see if that would change the bid. I am so impressed that for $21,000, we will have 7 working 50, 30, 20s.
50 inch, yeah.
That's major. And the post itself cost us $400 a piece. In the original quote, they were $1,000 they were charging us. So we went directly to the Army Supplies and were able to purchase them ourselves for $400 each.
Good.
And these treated posts are going to last as long as we're around.
I don't know. I don't think
Well,
so.
they build pole barns on a
And
6x6.
it's a metal pedestal that the post is going to be, the pedestal is going to be mounted to. So there's a metal pedestal that will come from the ground up. And then this will be what it's supposed to be on the side.
Oh, okay.
It's not like the box is done to the post. The post is just part of what the box will be attached to. It is a stand that comes up about this tall, just like the stand that's there now. It'll be secured to the ground and come up, and the post will be the side.
Okay, well, let's just go with it. I make a motion to accept the bid.
And I'll second that motion.
Did you have a copy of that when you got it?
Yes, yes. Oh, I thought it was already done for some reason. Yeah, so we've got a motion on the floor to accept the Cushman,
And a second.
and a second to get that done. How, is everything gonna do it quick? said?
Well, they said as soon as we call back, they've already got the stands, they'll order the wire.
All right.
My deal is that I was gonna try to push it to October 1st, because I've got cameras down there.
Oh, yeah.
And then at October 1st, I could say, nobody can come in for a week or 10 days, whatever it's gonna take for them to trench the new stuff, is they'll take the power out of the ones that are there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it may be after Labor Day that it slacks off. But right now, we've got 5, 6 campers down there.
Okay, that's a good idea. I've got a second. I've got a motion and a second to accept this proposal. All in favor?
Aye.
So,
None opposed?
none.
You want me to sign this?
Please do, you're in charge.
I'm not in charge.
You are too.
I'm not. I am
All
one.
right, I'm going to slide through these GM updates real quick.
Roll on.
Recent rains, everybody knew we were struggling with our watering and irrigation for our courses. We had to purchase water from the Waterworks Department in the South Course. We received a bill for 200,800 gallons. They asked about $2,100, but it is the only way we're not going to lose our greens. And that's really all we're watering is greens out there. Anyone that's familiar with that course, that pond was down so low, you could see the rocks in the bottom of the pond. It was bad. That was over. We already got our final bill. We're done with that.
We're not finding dead bodies or anything out
No
there.
dead bodies, no dead bodies. North golf course, we talked about our pump situation that we had. We got the pump repaired. We put the pump in. It still didn't fix our problem. They are still manually working down there to keep things watered. Thank you, Mother Nature, for all this great rain we have, because it sure is pretty out there. But I provided you with a quote for healing. This replaces our pump station completely. If you'll see my notes written on here, the decoders are part of our big expense on that pump station we have now. This new system will remove those decoders. It covers all 3 pumps. It does not include the labor to install them, which would run about $10,000. Yep, they're going to want 25% down, and you see there, 12-week lead time for receipt of purchase order signed quote approval. So we're still 3-4 months out, even if we said yes today on this.
Yeah, what do you think?
What is the problem with the pump?
So I'm saying what I originally thought is that Rainbird wasn't the way to go, that we're still paying for the old system and we're going to have to do it again. But Lynn got on the phone and called 6 area golf courses. They're all going with the Rainbird, and they've all come bought several years ago was already an older system. We didn't go with the state of the art back then, and now we're paying for it.
Many years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so I feel like that this is our only other true option. And it works with a lot of the system that we already have.
So that's 130 grand.
Yes.
And just to throw this out there to you, we still owe 130 grand on the loan that we
No,
had
we still owe
from the
them
first
almost
time.
300 grand.
That's all software, so wasn't it?
That's just the irrigation loan altogether.
Yeah, that's been refinanced many times.
We did get some discounts on here through the John Deere program. That was one of the things, Ray Bird offers some discounts. I mean, this is the best price that I could find, and it will work a lot with the system that we have in place. This isn't laying all new lines, this is working with some of that, and taking out those decoders.
So what is wrong with the pumps now? I can hear them screaming down there sometimes when I'm, so,
Dave, if I said, try to explain to you, I would have to. I'm not a mechanic, I don't understand. I know that what they couldn't get to happen was that when they brought the pump back and they're trying to get the old system to prime up with the new pump, that if they just couldn't get it, they don't know where the breakdown is. There are several options. Mr. Hurd has been up here. He spent so much time with it, he didn't even charge us for half of his time because he said I couldn't fix it. So, I mean, we pulled in all the old lines, and this is the new direction.
Yeah,
so the Ethernet radio modem, what's that for?
That's how they have a system in the shop down at the North Force and the South Force, so when one of the decoders goes out, it sends an alarm back to that system so that they know where to go. And with the decoders, the way that it works is once the decoder goes out, everything behind it goes out too. So that's what's created so much more expense. Those decoders are running $2,300 a piece. That's crazy when you have to buy 4 or 5. Mr. Lynn could probably explain that to you in great detail, David, but
yeah, I think another piece of that pie too is the amount that we still owe on the previous, to fix this originally, which is 300 grand. Something that we'll need to, I think, at least talk through and decide out what we're going to do before the end of the year. It doesn't have to be done tonight, but do we want to go into next year with no debt?
Well, and how about the wear and tear on our employees? I mean, they're about wore out. Can't
Well,
handle it.
we're coming close to the end of our season. I mean, we're weeks from Labor Day, and I think that a lot will slow down then. Usually October is when we start letting seasonal folks go, so we may end up having this a little bit longer if we're seeing some more heat, more play. Either way it goes, if we make the decision tonight, Susan, it will still be 4 months before we get it.
So what do we need, I mean, we're going to have to do something.
So a motion, if
What do you want to talk about?
well, it sounds like we've debated it. Do you have anything to say, Mr. Kaiser?
If we don't do this, it just dries up into oblivion, right?
We could burn up another pump.
Yeah, we could.
It's
Yeah,
too good of a
that's what
reason.
I'm fearful, that other pump's not going to make it. But we are coming into the end of the season, and the watering will be less stressful. I mean, we're looking at 3 to 4 months. This is key to make sure by spring that's in place.
What you're saying is, this is the ideal time to make this motion and move forward. That's basically what she said. So
We push it to September, we're going to do less.
if, I would entertain a motion if there's going to be, if you have one, to accept this proposal and move forward.
I second that.
I'm just entertaining it, I didn't actually move
Oh, I
it.
thought you made it.
No.
And I rescind my second.
Who's going to make that motion?
Betsy?
Yes, sir.
We're looking over the finances and everything. You will budget this into next year's, right?
Absolutely. Well, once y'all make the decision on moving forward, then we'll determine how we're going to pay for it. Right now, the way that the irrigation is paid is 2 payments a year, every 6 months. So I don't know if we could roll this into that, if we could do something different,
It'd be on the same line for sure, but
but it would definitely go into the next year's budget. We would start paying for it, we got it.
Is there a motion on the floor?
25% down.
Make a motion to accept Keeling Company's quote to do this new system.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
That is 3 ayes plus me, aye, 4 ayes.
And then 25% down is when you,
Send them a contract?
Yeah, we'll give them a purchase order, we'll sign a quote, and then we'll have drawings they'll provide us.
okay.
So by next month,
Or expecting we'll have all this work
I
out.
say
Okay.
a couple of weeks to do that.
Can you put the loan on old business for next meeting
Yes,
for us to discuss that balance?
yes, and I'll bring the backup for it, just wait another payment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the underground gas tank, I've been in touch with Scotty. These are the underground gas, box underground tanks, I guess is what they're called. We filled out the paperwork that the state required to say that we were not going to fill the tank again. And I noticed when I went by there today and dropped off the campground stuff, the front of the tank has been taken off and they're doing what they need to do to get it drained. So the process is starting and we're in compliance with the state on that. The Omaha AC update, I know that we've spoken about that independently. Cushman's, nobody's going to be able to touch Cushman's quote at the 41,000. We've agreed to move forward with that, and I brought in.
You have it here?
It needs to be signed.
Yeah, you have it here?
Yes. I don't know if you have it, but I have it.
I've seen it, I've reviewed it, just like everybody else has. And we need to vote this in?
I think,
Has everyone reviewed this?
I think we voted it in.
Oh, you already did? Okay.
Well, and then we, just
Okay, good.
because during the last meeting, we asked her if she could get some more quotes.
Oh,
and-
that's what I heard.
Yeah, and Richard said they would sign us a letter for $100,000, but they don't have the equipment.
Right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that Cushman's being electrical and HVAC, they've got the boom to be able to remove it off the roof. They're
Right.
gonna cap all the holes, vents, and all of that, which will hopefully help us with our leaking up there.
Yeah.
We need a great.
So
Starting a few more leaks.
Okay, I heard, again, on the last meeting, I misheard it, but I heard that we were gonna wait, as I think you said, if you wanted to get on a quote. So I don't think we actually voted it in.
Well, since then, we have had an email that we went forward with
Yeah.
because we couldn't get.
Well, let's just formally do it. I would entertain a motion to accept this.
I make a motion to accept Cushman's bid for the Omaha repair for the AC.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor? Aye, thank you. So it sounds, I don't want to just sign this and then make it look like I'm the only one that approved it.
Well, we'll sign it and I'll send it back, and if they want a contract, then there'll be more signatures. That's
Okay.
just agreement. Thank
Okay. Thank you.
I would like to entertain a conversation for the next meeting when we go to pay for this, and we possibly ask if the Health and Fitness Center would help pay for some of that. They have money for their memberships, and maybe that could be something that they could contribute to that cost for the fitness as well.
I would say that's not what that's for, but I would definitely be in favor of you taking over the, as I suggested earlier in the year, of you taking over the fitness center, right?
Let's talk
That's
about
another meeting.
That's another,
All right.
okay.
All right, the next thing is waterworks deposition. I did a deposition on Misty last week in the Little Rock. I think that it went really well. There was two portions of the deposition that I gave. One was for my part as being employed as the general manager. The other part was for 306B, which was a person from Sid that was speaking as a corporation in full. Now, I believe that they will find the same challenges that we found, was that finding people from 1988 that are still around and still remember all of those agreements and handshakes and all those things was just as difficult for them as it was for us. And every person that we spoke to had a different recollection and a different day and a different conversation. All in all, I think the deposition went really, really well, and I believe that we're going to have a positive outcome from that.
Speaking of attorneys, I know that we're going to have a question about the Mr. Parker deal. Is that's not on here, correct? Yeah. Just to quickly update, I know I spoke to our attorney. I think he called each one of you individually to talk to you about. Yes? Yeah. to talk to you about it. I know I said move forward. Yeah, I said move, we're all in. We're going after him. And I consider, my point was to him, I don't know what you guys said, obviously, but my point to our attorney was that we currently, because our rules are the way they are, he is in violation of them currently. So my suggestion to this board, and we don't have to vote on it, but my suggestion to this board is that we deny him his boat stickers for next year at this juncture. He believes that he's not within that right, or he can get them anyway, or whatever, but let him prove that to us with an attorney. If he wants to come back after us and say we have to give him this sticker, then let him do it, and let him spend money. But at this point, we're going to deny him his sticker. So if you will, please make sure that next year's sticker he cannot get. And then we need to make sure that if his boats are on the water with no sticker, he is trespassing, and we can have him removed and call the police. So that's the position I took with our attorney. You took the same thing? Okay, so, yeah. If we need to put that in writing and vote on it, I guess we can, but I just want to make sure you were aware of those conversations. Okay, thank you.
July financial side, puts some copies back on the table, I've already posted those on our website, with cdsid.org. If y'all notice, each month, I kind of make a little notes on them before I scan them and copy them, just if something that stands out or looks odd, then I try to make notes that you'll see what it's about. This month, our salaries were really high, we had no pay increases instead of 2. So year to date, it'll all wash out like it's supposed to, but this particular month, it looked like our salaries were high. Of course, on our income side, it looks like we're doing great because we had $200,000 in insurance money from roofs. So that's something that was like, oh gosh, we really did way better than we did. You can find that $200,000 in there. And then you'll also see expenses on some of those different categories where we replaced the roofs. They weren't budgeted, but because we got the insurance money and we replaced them, you'll see those expenses. So I try to make notes on those things. Anytime you have a question about the financials, please feel free. Shoot me an email, call the office, I'll do my best to explain it to you. The last thing I wanted to report was we had a fantastic month with tournaments. Golf tournaments this month for the Spring River Open. We had a positive profit of $2,450. We had a Mossy Oak Scramble, which they just ran our courses. $1,885, that's horse rental and cart rentals. And then we had the Cougar Classic, which is a high school thing. We only made $645 off that. That's something that we agreed to do with the other schools, and that was clearly for cart rentals for parents and spectators. So we had a really good month with our tournaments. In our last meeting, our golf committee presented a property owners tournament that we wanted to do for October 8th. We have changed that. We're going to make that our Fall Ball Classic, which is going to be an annual tournament that we do as a fundraiser. We're going to start this one this year on October 8th on that date. We're going to push our property owners VIP to the springtime so that we can split those tournaments up. And we're going to build on this tournament. Hopefully in the future we'll turn it into a 2-day tournament. So far, we've collected about $7,000 in sponsorship. And our goal for this tournament is to make $10,000, which will be put back into the restricted account for the golf course. So that's something that's going to be new for us, and I hope everyone that plays golf gets to participate, and business owners become sponsors, and this could really be a good thing for us moving forward. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Betsy. New business, so we have Jeff, is Jeff Klein here?
Jeff's in the back.
Jeff
Hey,
Klein.
Jeff.
Man, I'm glad you're here.
Yes, we
Because
are.
I got an email from someone on Omaha showing me some pictures of that greenish type fog looking stuff. And I assume that's what we're talking about earlier. the vegetation, or is that different?
Yeah, the grass that grows.
I think there's also a picture that in your packets there that was provided to us for Lake Cherokee.
And Mr. Klein, I saw your email. And you only went to Thunderbird in Omaha? Okay.
I actually took a look at
Thunderbird Sequoia you went to.
I looked at Thunderbird and Sequoia from a boat. I looked at Cherokee from the land, from a road.
Okay, what about Omaha?
I live by Omaha, on the
Okay.
back over on past the village. I see it pretty regular.
Gotcha. The email I got was from Omaha, so I wasn't sure what.
They took me on Thunderbird and Sequoia on a little boat tour.
Okay.
He went out to Lake Safety.
Yeah, awesome. Proceed, thank you.
Well, I'm really here to answer questions, I guess. I didn't really come with a presentation. Y'all have some minor weed problems out there. It really isn't anything major. It's mostly water willow. There is some chara algae and some filamentous algae here and there, but it's pretty minor. And then on Cherokee, there's quite a few water lilies out there. They seem to be the main thing on that lake. I don't know if y'all are getting certain complaints or how you're dealing with it.
On Cherokee, we're getting a lot of complaints.
Yeah,
about
Cherokee
water.
seems to be the worst one to me. I mean, it has a lot of lily, and they can take over,
He's got a lot of everything, you obviously everything that's lost.
And y'all allow you to speak, and then if you'd like to say something, y'all can come up and speak too, okay?
No, I haven't seen every lake, and I haven't seen it from a boat, but I mean, I do see some issues out there. So your main problems that I see are the water willow, but that can be a beneficial weed in some cases. It is a bank stabilization type of a weed, so some people want to leave it, some don't. Its algae is minimal, but there is some chara algae that can take over, and there is some filamentous algae that, it kind of comes and goes with the seasons. And there was an algae bloom out there, a planktonic algae bloom, that was on Sequoia the day I was there. But those are also generally short-lived. It's going to be when the water levels get low, temperatures get high, they'll bloom, they'll pass. But they're actually beneficial to the ecosystem. So some people like them, some people don't. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to accomplish and where.
What does that look like, that bloom you were talking about?
It basically just looks like stained water. The color of the water goes to a tea color or sometimes greenish color, and that day it was like a tea color.
So it's like, like if I see like slime, that kind of, not slime, but
The filamentous algae you're seeing, it looks kind of like slime. It's going to be on the surface. There's many species of it. I do see some of that in some certain coves, and Cherokee had some. I might have saw some in the back of Omaha as well.
Is that something that can be treated?
It can be
Is that
treated.
algae?
Yes, those can be treated with, there's quite a few products available, but because they're such large bodies of water, it makes treatment difficult. We have to do it in isolated areas. So we're going to go to the back of some coves, which is generally where that type of algae is going to be the most prevalent. And we can treat that with copper sulfate and various other, 2 or 3 other products that can knock those down. But they're not something that you just go out one time and treat and it's over. This needs to be on an ongoing program to be successful. So, a lot of times people don't want the weeds around their houses, others do. In Hot Springs Village, for example, they all sign up if they want their shoreline and their own property sprayed, and if they don't, then they let them go by. So I'm not sure how y'all are trying to handle this, or how many lakes. You have a great bunch of lakes. They're really in good shape overall. An overall lake management program would be, I think, beneficial for you guys. It would be something that could be the aquatic weed control, the algae control, fish habitat, the dredging, which is something that, you guys really need dredging. You mentioned earlier that it's not something you're doing, or it's against your rules, or I'm not sure.
No, it's not something we're doing as a policy. It's not something we do as a yearly thing. If it is, I don't know.
Hot Springs Village does it every 7 years. It can be done hydraulic dredging, which is extremely expensive, and there's hardly anybody in this part of the country that does it. So many times we'll just set up a barge, with basically a backhoe on a barge, and do the dredging that way. And that's the most cost-effective way.
Where do they put it? On the land?
Yeah, bring it back out, haul it away. So the hydraulic system puts it in a bag, but there's a lot of issues with that as well. And on the physical, just just remove it with a backhoe. You're just gonna have to put it on the barge, take it to the lane and let it dry and then haul it away. It's quite a process. It's a big deal.
Typically, how much silt is normal to be in the bottom of a lake?
Well, it just depends on the age of the lake, what's coming into the lake. Erosion control is really important, especially if you're gonna get into a lot more construction around the lake. Y'all would wanna look into some kind of a erosion control ordinance that, guarantees that we're controlling that, if there's gonna be a lot of new construction. Right now, you've just got years and years of sediment coming from floods and construction and, just many years of sediment. I mean, there could be 3-4 feet out there in places. I haven't gone out there and checked that. And typically, you're gonna end up in the backs of these coves where the creeks come in is where it's gonna be the worst.
Can that ever incur a problem with the lake holding water or hitting a vein back in there where it's going to hit and go off into the ground? Or because I know over from the flatlands in Kennett, Missouri, they have a big lake over there that they tried to dredge the silt out in spots and it's almost dry now, which was a government project, which also has fissures in it from earthquakes, but that was a nightmare. Could that be a potential? I'm not saying it is.
I guess I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like if you dredge the stuff out, could the lake potentially leak?
No, not in this case. Not in these. No, sir. Those are typically going to be on smaller man-made impoundments in places where we don't have as much limestone like we have here and stuff. These lakes aren't going to leak.
Okay.
No, sir.
And that slime that we see floating that'll disappear when it gets cold.
It
right?
will. That filamentous algae is very seasonal, but it can get bad, in certain areas. I haven't seen anything that's extremely bad yet, but there may be some out there that I haven't looked at.
And the water willow, Norm and myself and my son went and visited with the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission last week, and we spent probably 3 hours talking to
biologists and habitat biologists and so forth. They said the water willow has a tremendous value.
It does.
In a lake. So if we destroy that, like if it's around your dock or you see grass, you're like, well, I hate that grass. But it doesn't really grow out very far in the lake. It's maybe 6 feet or 8 feet at most, and that is blocking a lot of these washing waves that we're seeing. The Game and Fish Commission says if we eliminate that water willow, that we could possibly see major soil erosion on the banks.
Yeah, it's a great bank stabilization type of a plant. It holds soil together quite well, and you'll see it. Less, the more boat traffic there is out there, the less of that you'll see because it keeps that stirred up and it doesn't grow as well there. But, it definitely is something that I wouldn't just get rid of all that. And that's why in some areas what they'll do is, like I said, certain people, don't want it around their docks and houses. So some areas we spray and some areas we don't because we want to leave it where we can. And that's going to be something that y'all have to decide.
You looked at Lake Cherokee, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is your recommendation for all the lily pads in there? Because a lot of property owners do not like them.
Yeah, those are a little bit more invasive and not as beneficial. I mean, they do have some habitat benefits, but, that's something I would definitely try to remove. Those will eventually take over the lake. They can choke a whole lake out with a pad. So I would be on that with a herbicide.
I've been here 5-6 years now, and every meeting there's always somebody coming up about the lily pads on Cherokee. We need to get them under control, so what do you recommend?
I would recommend 2 times a year. Sometimes it takes 3 to get them cleaned up and make 2 or 3 herbicide applications, aquatic herbicide applications, beginning in the spring after the water temperatures get about 65. If you'll notice in the cold water, they'll die back and then they'll come back in the spring when the water hits about 60 or 65. And typically I can take those out in 2 applications. Sometimes it takes 3, but generally it'll be another 1.5 years or 2, they'll start to come back and we'll have to reapply.
So would you be able to give us a quote for doing those type of treatments for us, and maybe even the algae stuff that we're dealing with now?
Yes, the algae is going to be more difficult to control because, again, the large bodies of water are very difficult to control algae. So what we have to do is, as you'll notice, They'll be in the shallower areas, they'll be in the coves, they'll be where there's less wind and more sediment. So we can treat those areas and, we have to do them in sections. So that can be done as well. Certain years, algae's gonna be worse than others. The hotter and drier it is, the worse they're gonna get. This year was a pretty good algae year. The chara algae looks like a plant. I see a lot of it in Cherokee right around the dam there. It hasn't gotten bad, but that algae can also get pretty invasive over time. So
The other thing I'd like to bring up too, that we've done in the past, and I'm new here, so I haven't personally seen this myself, but I know that you carry a license to disperse these chemicals.
I do.
And in the past, we used our lake safety people, and I'm not saying that they didn't do it right, but I do think that if we're not spreading it properly, if we don't have it used properly, then we're unsuccessful in what we're doing, and we're not making the headway. And so I kind of feel like this is the step in the right direction, getting the professionals involved, and making sure that we're putting out there the right chemicals, the right strength, and as many times as it needs to do.
Right.
So I thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
I know it's not the popular conversation because everybody here has some complaints about the lake.
Right.
I appreciate you taking your time and going and looking at that stuff.
Well, I'll look at the rest of them if you'd like. I haven't seen the smaller lakes. But again, I believe that y'all should try to put together a lake management program that doesn't just address aquatic weeds, but addresses the entire lake system, including, fish habitat, recreation, all that. My background is a certified golf course superintendent, but I've had quite a bit of experience for many years in lake management, so if that's something I can help you with, I'd love to. And I can put some quotes together for you on, I need to get out on Cherokee and see what kind of area, because it's going to be about area.
Yeah, make sure you go to Beverly's house, she's gonna be expecting you.
You live on Cherokee? Yeah, there's quite, that lake right now is the worst one I've seen.
It's horrible, I have a question, is that water safe for swimming? No.
Yes, ma'am, that water's safe for swimming. There is some toxic algae, but I have not identified, now, there may be some I haven't found, but I haven't seen any toxic algae or weeds in these lakes yet.
How many times did they spray the lily pads this year? I didn't see any, usually I see one.
I have no idea.
He is not the person who's spraying for lily pads. He is a person that's coming in to help us move forward. So nobody's spraying for lily pads up to this point. We're trying to get advice from the professionals.
Now, I've cleaned up the lakes in Horseshoe Bend fairly well, and they're staying pretty clean.
The growth that's growing on the bottom, that has a spot, doesn't come above the water. It's just taking over the complete.
Chara algae.
Is that what
It looks like a plant, but it's actually an algae.
Yes, sir. It's water on it.
It will attach itself to, it looks like it's growing on a root system, but it's actually not. But it'll attach to plants, it'll attach to rocks, it'll attach to a soft bottom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Klein, I would love to, let's keep this rolling, and then at the end, they'll be able to answer, ask questions.
Yes, sir.
But I would love, like Betsy said, to see an initial, what's the initial treatment need to look like? I mean, Beverly needs her plants removed. So it's good to see you, Beverly, by the way. So get her stuff taken care of, and everybody else who's got an immediate need, and then see maybe a comprehensive, all 7 lakes sort of policy or something. I guess the last question I had was, how do you gear that? Because I know that the population is kind of split. You've got recreational people who want to take their pontoons, even on the smaller lakes, and enjoy their ride, and they don't want to have to go through weeds. And then you've got recreational people who want to ski, but then you got fishermen who want that cover and want to be able to fish. So I guess
there is a balance. This can be difficult to strike, but on the smaller lakes, they'll probably be more geared toward fishing because the larger boats won't be on those lakes anyway. On lakes like Thunderbird and Omaha, where there's a lot more boat traffic, it would be something that would be a little more difficult balance to strike, but certain homeowners want them and certain homeowners don't. So maybe you have them sign us something that says that you want your area cleaned up, and that works in some areas. Works in Horseshoe Bend, works in Hot Springs Village.
Okay.
Some people want to leave them, some people don't. When it comes to the algae, they need to be treated basically as a whole because they can get invasive if you let them get too far, which they haven't, but they could.
Okay.
And the lilies are the same way. They can take over a large area in a short time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming. I would love to see Joe over that. Kind of looking at that proposal once it comes in. Joe knows much more about water and fish. And thank you, Joe. Okay, next item. We've already done the Keeling quote, right?
Yep.
And we have a Cherokee Village Animal Shelter
Yep.
from Betty Stokes.
Okay, I am Betty, and I volunteer at the animal shelter. This is Paula Music, and she is our animal control officer. We've recently received a large sum of money as a donation, and what we want to do is...
Yeah, speak into it. Susan can't hear you.
Step up to the microphone a little bit.
Okay, anyway, we received a large sum of money, and what we want to do is possibly be able to build a brand new cat house, take the cat house that we have and do some renovations and turn it into a puppy palace for our puppies because we have no place to put them right now. But in reviewing this, I find out that SID owns the property. There is a lease on that property, I think that expires October 2023, I'm not sure. You'll have to ask Betsy. But what we are asking is that you donate the land to us so that we can do our projects and nobody will come back and say, get out, you've done all this improvement. So I request if you would be willing to give us the land. And Betsy has, what's the lease on that? Do you have it?
The last lease that was signed was in 2018. I didn't bring it with me.
It expires, I think, 2023, if I remember. What they
It's a
say,
5-year lease.
we paid $10 or something like that for it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you currently have a lease that you're on that land that the animal shelter's at, and you
Correct.
want to own it.
We'd like to own it. Yes.
And you're currently paying $10 a year?
No, we pay one time $10 for the lease.
Total?
back in
$10.
2018.
Okay.
What year did y'all take over the animal shelter? Y'all had it for many years, haven't you?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think that was the first lease.
Yeah, no, it's-
That was the last lease that I've done at this time.
I've been out there volunteering for 6 years, and before, there were other people before that, so I'm really not sure what year it started. But I'd just like you to consider possibly donating the land to us. Because we don't want to be putting all these improvements up and then having you come back and say, oh, I think we'll have the land. So,
Betty,
yes,
seeing how the city runs the animal shelter,
correct.
and SID is separate from the city, so SID donating the land to the city is basically what you're asking.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to...
Dave, I just don't want to spend all this money. We may possibly come into $70,000, and I don't want to do all of this and then have somebody say, oh, we like this, we want to take it over, and we want you out. And that way, that will guarantee that it's our property that belongs to the city and to the animal shelter. That's what we request. If you have questions of Paul or myself, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Questions? Other comments?
I think we need to take it into consideration.
I mean, I think it's a valuable service, but I think it's an absolute valuable service what you guys do. And unheralded, I mean, you do a great job, I think. But as a part of SID, I don't, donating to the city is not what we kind of do. Leasing the space to you for nothing would be as much as I'd be willing to continue to do. But giving up pieces of land away, I know it's a risk to you because somebody could come along, the next group of commissioners, and want to build a fitness center and get you out. I understand that.
to that is, if we had a 50-year lease or a 100-year lease, I'd be fine. But to do something in 5 years and then have this, we just don't want to put that kind of money in what we're doing there.
Yeah.
So I mean, consider that would be acceptable to us, right? Yeah.
Kind of
You guys-
similar to what we're doing with the handle.
Yeah.
I was just,
Yeah, you guys want to consider that and
how much of a lease do we?
think about a term?
It's going to be 50 years.
50, we gave,
We let the ham radio group have 50-year lease.
How long?
50,
50 years.
50.
That's the lease that Grant's putting together for him.
Yeah, that was a little plot, a little
Yeah.
tiny little
Can
thing.
we entertain motions or on that or no?
Sure,
At this point?
absolutely.
I'll make a motion, we do a 50-year lease when the renewal comes available to the animal shelter, or whatever you want to do, money-wise, but I would say, is that acceptable or no?
It's acceptable. It's acceptable to us. I just don't want to
50
do a
years.
5-year thing, and it's 50 years, I'll be up there and I don't have to worry about it.
I can assure you, I'm not going to be here in 50 years.
I know, but we have worked really, Paul and I are working really hard to clean things up and make some improvements, and I just want to make sure that we're stable when we get this money and we do all of this. I just don't want you all to come out there and say, oh, no, get out.
Yeah, how much land is it? Do we know?
She's got it, and we'll work out
all
some.
of the
We
plat.
don't want all of
They
it.
wanted a portion of it. I don't remember how many, it was a few acres. that
Yeah.
was in that
It's right on the road
particular
there.
plat number.
It's right on the road, it backs up to the woods, and we don't even want to go all the way. We're only 3/4 fenced. Anyway, we have a grant from Petco to finish the fencing. So we're going to go across the back of the property, and so there'll still be some land that belongs to you behind there, because isn't there a road back there or something? Yeah. So-
Okay, yeah, and so just as you know, it'd be a land lease only, which means that whatever improvements you make to that land in 50 years, once your lease is up, if you leave, you have to leave everything there.
And I'll have you come take care of it.
I will not be here in 50 years.
Me either. No, we just basically, because actually, even though you own the land, you own that, I mean, we do the maintaining of the property, the mowing, putting up the fence, that all has come out of the animal shelter money.
And it should, it's the city.
Right.
It's part of what the city should provide for you. That's how the city functions.
Which we're
so.
doing.
Yep.
I just want
Okay.
us to work out somewhere, so 50 years sounds fine to me.
Yeah, is there a motion on the floor?
Bessie can
For
figure that out.
For 50 years.
I'll take care of it.
Joe made a motion on the floor to do to run it through Grant and have a lease put together for 50 years. We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
I still need Paul's name.
Lake safety update with policy.
That's just the, what I gave y'all from Lucinda that we.
Oh.
printed off.
Okay,
Has everyone read that?
yes. I'm gonna go get Paul's name. I've read it.
Look through it, yes.
Okay, so basically this is just, by the way, Lucinda did a wonderful job, Norman, from what we talked about just the other day. She put that together and like that. And I love what she put together. And it had wakeboard boats and different things that we talked through. But it's even got more than that, which I really love. It's got some accountability for wakeboard owners to stay inside those buoys an additional 100 feet, even when they're, it makes them accountable for their waves. And the way she wrote it up was, if your wave white caps, by the time it's hitting the shoreline, it's way too much. So we have guidelines where they can fill their ballast. That's what we've put together straight in the middle of the red buoys, correct?
Right.
So we've put that guideline in place, and you may not fill your ballast if you are on any other part of the lake. But in addition, she puts in there that you're still responsible for your wake. Whether you're in the middle of the water or not, if there's and it's state law that suggests, and I didn't really realize that until she put it together, But it's state law that you cannot put a wave out there that capsizes other boats, or capsizes a canoer, or capsizes a water paddler, or whatever those guys are. You can't do that. So, and you can't do that on Norfolk either. Just because you can surf on Norfolk doesn't mean you see a paddler and you can go right by them. You have to steer clear of them, because sailboats and other boating like that takes right of way over powered boats. So I love the fact that she added that in there. And just because we've given the wakeboard people the ability to surf in that center aisle, doesn't mean that if there is a canoer by the buoys, their wave cannot toss them around and can't flip them over. If it does, then they're against state code. So I appreciate the fact that she added that to it, because it gives more accountability, for the boat owner. And they need to take a look at who's out there that day before they decide to put their boat in the water and do that action. So I like it, the way it reads. You guys need some more time. That's the only difference that I saw. You can change anything you want to with motion. So.
But this seems, when I read it, makes.
Okay.
Can I make a comment while you guys are talking that over?
Well, just give me, because we're almost done, I promise, right when you want to, Norm, don't give me that look. You're part of that lake safety committee, so what did you want us, before we voted? Or, I don't even know if there's a motion going to be out. Okay. No. So there's no motion on the floor?
None yet.
Okay.
Okay, Norm Flowers is my name. And a week ago Sunday, I'm fishing on Thunderbird. I don't usually go on Thunderbird on Sunday, but I did this Sunday morning. And I'm just about 50 or 60 feet inside the buoys in a little cove, and a wake boat goes by. I didn't think too much about it. He's in the area where he's supposed to be, and I'm close to that area. But the wake created, now I have an 18-foot bass boat, the wake created made my boat go up so high the first time. When it come down, the second wake come over the top of my boat, and I took on water. Now, I'm within the area he's allowed to be. But as I watched him, he continued on past the red markers, way down the lake.
Yeah.
And I didn't go chase and see who he was. Now, yesterday, I'm on Thunderbird again, Sunday evening. And it's been, Sunday afternoon, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I can describe this to you, again, there was a wake boat down close to the marina in that area. And I'm fishing, if you come through the canal and turn left, there's a big cove up there. And I'm fishing in that cove, and I could see this wake boat doing their thing in the area, no problem there. And he'd gone away, I didn't see him anymore. And I'm a couple hundred yards away, and all of a sudden here come his wake that raised the bow of my boat so high that my electric trolling motor came out of the water. I didn't take on water this time, but it came up so high that my trolling motor was no longer in the water to give me any effect.
Right.
Just the comments I wanted to make on my experience with wake boats.
No, thank you, Norman. And I think this is step one, what we've done, and I think putting this new policy together, my suggestion, or what I really want to do, Betsy, is once this is done and we vote this into policy, I would love to see, and maybe it's a smaller draft of this, or the important parts for wakeboard owners, is that they initial and they sign that they understand these rules, that they are accountable for their waves. My thought with what Norman's story was is that if a wakeboard boat is moving along and he sees Norman sitting there, he must slow down. Right. They have to do that on big lakes anyway. That's state law. So that doesn't give them a right, just because we've told them they can cruise around in these, within the buoys, that doesn't give them the right to just go wherever they want, next to whoever they want. So I would love to see these rules in place, and before they get their sticker, January 1st, before they get their sticker, they must sign and understand, and we'll put some language together that says they understand these new rules, and they understand and they will abide by them, and they understand that a lake safety officer may pull them over and tell them that they're going to, that they've done wrong. And if they get 3 strikes against them, we're going to kick them off the lake. So we want to put some teeth into this, and we want to be able to say, you signed this. Currently, we don't have that.
Right.
We want to be able to say, you signed this, you agreed to these rules before you got your sticker, now you're going to have to abide by them. So that's kind of the goal. So is there a motion on the floor to accept this? And this does not have boat length and dock issues, things like that. We need to put that together separately. This is more for the operating on the lakes.
So basically, this will allow wake boats to operate, right?
Are you green, Joe?
Yeah, I'm green.
He's green.
Hello. Anyway, we'll allow the wake boat activities, is that correct?
On the wakeboard activity that we voted on last time, that we would allow wakeboards to not, and who knows, whoever came by, you may have had water in their bows for all I know.
Sure you did.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, if they got water in their bows, they're gonna create that big wave. It is
Some
what
of
it
these
is.
boats don't even need to have water in their ballast either.
Yeah.
I've watched them.
There is, if any of you go online and just want to look at something, because I didn't know this until I saw it, but you can go on Malibu, I think it is .com, a company that sells skiing boats and so forth. They have a gigantic video trying to sell their wake boats on there, and it is incredible the amount of waves that boat produces. So in this conversation with the Arkansas Game and Fish, and Norm was there with me, we were discussing this with biologists and with habitat biologists and so forth, and they said the wake boat issue is not only a really big issue for you guys, but it's a big issue for the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, because it is destroying habitat and shoreline in Norfolk and Bull Shoals, and he said it's something that they're going to have to deal with, probably in the legislature. So I mean, it's that new and it's that serious. My personal opinion is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, is Thunderbird and Omaha are way too small of a body of water for a wake boat activity, based on what I've seen. That's just my opinion. I mean, buoys or no buoys, because, and even though we say, oh, we're going to enforce it, or we're going to go out here and give you a ticket if you're doing it, I mean, these guys have got more money than most of all of us put together have got sense, and they're just going to say, I don't care, write me a ticket. I don't care, spank me, give me 3 strikes, I'm out. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Unless you just basically say, guess what, I'm sorry, the lake's too small, you can't use them. But if you just let them keep doing like what they're doing on this deal, they're going to be just like what Norm saw. They're going to get past the buoys, they're going to do whatever they want to do, because that's just what's going to happen. I mean, that's my opinion, that's worthless, but anyway, that's it.
I understand. Thank you. Do you want to, is there a motion to adopt this? Or what are we doing with it? She gave it to us, she wrote it up?
I don't see any
I have, where was that? Definition. 3rd page. Under E, it says shall operate any watercraft.
Okay, under E, it says shall operate any watercraft in a clockwise manner. Then it says all watercraft must operate in a counterclockwise manner. I think we need to correct
The language
that. I think we need to correct that.
Yeah,
Oh, I see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
standard language.
Which is two different,
Right.
okay.
Pick one.
The motion, if it's going to be made, can be made with this correction.
Should I read the first part of that? The first statement says, no one shall.
Nope. Huh?
Doesn't say that, it just,
That's
No
what
person.
it is.
Shall operate any watercraft. Yep, that does it.
No person, and then you go to the E, shall operate a watercraft in a clockwise manner. No person shall operate a watercraft.
That's right. That's right. My bad. See, the previous page says no person, right here. No person, and then a whole bunch of lines. And E says, basically, shall operate any watercraft in a clockwise fashion. So if you're basically saying no one can go clockwise, the next sentence is all watercraft must operate counterclockwise. So that makes sense.
Mine doesn't have a no in front of it. Mine doesn't.
We'll show it to you.
Go to the beginning of that, back page.
I did. I've read through the whole thing twice.
Here you go, right here. I'll show you. Okay, so this is just so no person,
Oh,
and then the rest of these.
Oh, okay.
And you gotta say no person before you read shall operate any watercraft. Does that make sense?
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion on the floor to take this into policy for the rest of this year? Or do we want to make amendments?
In letter I of that deal, I guess my microphone's
Turn it on and off.
went away.
Anyway, it says in section I of that same category, shall operate a watercraft of 10 horsepower or more unless the operator is 15 years of age or older, which I think is a great policy, but that's not actually Arkansas law.
Correct.
And now let me tell you that scenario, when I spoke with some actual honest to goodness gun carrying game wardens at this meeting, they basically told us that they have jurisdiction over the entire state of Arkansas. On private land, on public land, on any kind of land, they can come in there and give you a ticket. They are state troopers on steroids. And I'm just going to tell you, they can do it, and they can do what they want to do. So the only jurisdiction they have over us in a private lake is creel limits and fishing licenses. So if we decide in a boating law that we don't want anybody that's 15 years, we can do that. According, and she's right in doing it. So if somebody comes back and says, well, you know, we've got to be 12 years old, you know, when in the state, but we can make that rule in a private lake.
Right.
We just can't infringe on creel limits and fishing licenses.
We can't go below Arkansas State. So if we wanted to make it 10 years old, we couldn't do that.
I don't know. We can change it according to our deal, but
Right.
but we are under their jurisdiction. So folks that are like, well, you know, I can keep as many fish as I want to do, or whatever I want to do, just try it.
Right. Yeah, that's why I thought 15. 15
You
was
can
good.
order your catfish plate when you go to prison, just like I will.
Right. That's why I thought 15 made sense rather than 12.
That's a great, I love it, yeah.
Okay. And again, I like all the policy, the way it holds them accountable. And again, we see how it works and we visit it.
So what are we looking for, a motion?
So she put this together, and it doesn't include the docks or the boat length and things like that. We do need to talk about further, but this is in motion. Does someone want to make a motion to adopt this currently?
I make a motion, we adopt the current policy as stated forth.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to adopt this policy,
I second that.
and it's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Yes,
You
sir.
said aye, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I'll take that and send it.
Tell Lucinda
in,
thank you, yeah.
Put it into a format where each of y'all can sign it and make it official.
Okay. And then I'm going to reach out to her and see if she'll do the docs and
Look at that FYI that I left.
Yes.
It's got a bunch of stuff about that.
Okay, cool. Oh, on the card policy?
Future reading.
Card policy?
Yes, that
Okay.
one.
Okay, cool, thank you. Okay, property owner comments.
3 minutes. Let me start a timer.
Yes,
Emily
ma'am.
Moody, 1 West Lake Shore, the waterfall. Just like to say, Lake Cherokee is, he obviously just looked at it at land, not around the water. It's especially at the far end where it comes, Sequoia comes into it, it's horrible. It really is, it's worse I've ever seen it. But water's been down, we've had extended periods of no rain, coming from Thunderbird down, it's horrible. Those things are growing everywhere. I do appreciate all y'all, I'd like to give all y'all a pat on the back. We may be disagreeing about stuff, but things are getting done. I mean, more so than they've ever been done in the past however many years. Again, we may not agree on things, but things are getting done, and we do appreciate that. And I would like to say a special thank you to the commissioners that recently helped me, Susan, Betsy's on vacation. Came and helped, and I don't know if things have been worked out with the police as far as whose jurisdiction it is and where and what. And again, that's for y'all to work out. But I do appreciate the extra above and beyond that y'all are doing. And I know you'll have a thankless job, worse than I think the city council will do, because y'all are taking on past sins of everybody, and I know it's hard work, but yeah, y'all are doing great. So, we appreciate y'all trying to update things and
Yeah.
things like the lake and stuff, and it may not happen this year, but at least we're looking at it, and so we appreciate that.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you very much.
You can't talk. You're the cameraman.
On the issue that you were going to have Betsy have the people that have the wake books sign something, maybe the thing that should...
Hang on, can
The rest of y'all, hang on a second.
Maybe the item that they're signing, it should be told that anybody that operates the wake boat, not just the owner of it.
Yeah.
But the thing she's signing should be in the glove box of the wake boat, so that anybody that operates it has it. So maybe that should be policy. If you have a wake boat, this piece of paper that you initial as the owner should be in there, so anybody that operates it should be able to see it and understand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.
Comments? No one else? Everybody wants to go home? Is that the deal?
I make a motion we adjourn to executive session. Got one more.
I'm the algae on Cherokee. I live 9 West Lake Shore Drive on Cherokee, a property owner. But last year at this time when the crud came to the water, my dog got sick. He's Australian Shepherd, and we were outside, he's in the water. So I took him in, got it treated, but I didn't do any extensive testing, have to pay. This year, the same thing happened, but it's worse. And I had extensive blood work and everything done. And it showed that he has a bacterial infection that is consistent with like dogs that drank out of ponds with algae. So that's the only place he could have got it. So it is affecting us some.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comment. I do understand that, and I've been looking forward to this gentleman come in for a long time to do a comprehensive, something for all the lake owners. I mean, there's got to be something we can enter into.
But I think he agreed too. Cherokee would be our first one to go to. It's our smallest lake and the water's the lowest, and that seems to be where our biggest problem is today. So help's coming.
Okay.
Help's coming.
No one else? Motion to, almost.
My name's Scott Greenhouse, I live at 5 Dogwood Circle, right across the street from the Sequoia boat dock.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I do.
I don't have a boat over there, but I know there's a lot of kids that go over there and jump off the boats, get in the boats, and nobody seems to care. I care, and it's not even my boat. Because these kids are damaging these boats. My suggestion is secure that boat dock somehow. Put up a gate, because one of your rules states that you can't swim or fish within 100 feet of that dock. Am I right?
That's right.
Nobody polices it.
Now, is that the dock where the pontoons and all those other ones are stored down there?
Yes.
That one?
Yes.
Okay.
They fish there all the time. I don't care. But the rules state within 100 feet. Lake safety doesn't want to do a thing about it. So my question, I brought this up at the other meeting.
Have you asked Lake Safety?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I stood out down the road like this. right over Thunderbird. Now, I don't know what he does, but to me, it doesn't look like he does anything. I'm all for it if he has authority to be able to uphold these rules. It's fine, but as far as I know, he doesn't have any authority. Am I right or wrong?
Well, they would be trespassing if they don't own a boat on that marina, so yeah, they have authority. Sure.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to stop. Yeah, but he doesn't want to stop. Call the police and they don't want to come out.
Police can't do nothing.
Huh?
The police cannot do anything on our lakes.
Well, I understand that.
There's only 3 jurisdictions. The Arkansas Game and Fish, the state trooper, or county sheriff. Those are the only 3 people that have jurisdictions.
So in other words, I should just let the kids do whatever they want to do.
No, I think we tell Lake Safety to just keep an eye out. I mean, I've never heard Lake Safety, I talk to them all the time, and they've never said anything to me about people being on that marina. I take my boat and go over to the Sequoia all the time. I've never seen anybody on that marina, so it might be the different times that they're out, but.
Sit on my porch, I'll show you. I mean, there's a guy over there that has a flat top, and they're jumping off of his boat, and I know it's not their boat. They're kids. 2 years ago, they got the same boat, $2,500 worth of damage.
Okay,
We'll look into it.
thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Somebody needs to do something. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? I'm going to entertain a motion to excuse ourselves.
I make a motion, we go to executive session.
Oh, you want to go to executive session?
Who are we gonna hire?
You need
on
executive
fire?
session?
Who are we gonna hire on fire?
Well, hold on. He can make a motion that we go into executive session.
You got it, executive session now.
Well, if we need
Go
one.
there every time.
Yes, keep it on there every time. If we don't need it, we don't use it. So,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second that motion.
moved and seconded, all in favor?